Would a healthy Mavericks team be a threat in the West this year? We will debate that topic today on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Here we go. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, Mavericks analyst Bobby Carell, and, of course, our national NBA insider, Mark Stein. We, of course, are DLLS Mavs. Would a healthy Mavericks team be a threat in the West this year? Plus, what did NBA players have to say about the controversial Luka Doncic trade? We'll get into all that and more over the course of the next hour. We appreciate you joining us here on DLLS Sports. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe while you are here, as well as we just surpassed 21,000 subscribers here at DLLS Sports on this wonderful Wednesday, gentlemen. Tim Cato, what's going on?
It'd be really funny if one of the players was like, whoa, Luka got traded to the Lakers? Man, I wish J.R. Smith was still in the league.
He's doing some good golfing these days, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Terrific golf.
Out in Hawaii with Don Nelson.
Is Sarah watching today? I'm putting on the bracelet.
Oh, let's go. I'm sure Sarah will join us at some point during the show. So you make sure you show that off.
We need to talk to her about her real estate lawyer comment the other day. Show's already off to a rocky start. GM Ben and I having the best conversation we've ever had. Tanner just throws GM Ben out of the room. Unbelievable.
Physically with both hands.
Unbelievable.
So is that off to a rocky start, or did we just start when we were supposed to?
Rocky. I'm going with Rocky.
They were finally bonding.
They were finally bonding.
8 months in.
Y'all finally
we're getting along.
Y'all finally had a moment.
Man. Tanner, delete GM Ben. Just delete him. I never said that.
Oh, now you're going to deny it now?
Yeah, that's
now you're going to deny it? Shout out to our folks in the chat. Ronald, I see you. Had a hell of a time in Vegas. Glad to see you back in the chat with us. Patrick, John, also see you in the chat as well. Let's get into it today, gentlemen. Would a healthy Mavericks team be a threat in the West this year? As, of course, the Mavericks missing the postseason after making the NBA Finals last year, watching the Western Conference get after it so far through the first couple of games in the NBA postseason. We saw the Lakers last night even up their series at 1 game apiece. We'll get to that a little bit later on in the show. But, gentlemen, let's just start there. We know the injury situation that this team dealt with when Anthony Davis arrived, of course, dealing with the adductor strain that kept him out for 6 weeks. Kyrie Irving tearing his ACL back on March 3rd. Daniel Gafford with the knee injury. Dereck Lively II with the ankle stress fracture. Health really took a toll on this team and robbed us of the idea of what we could have seen from this team. So let's just put our hypothetical hats on as we are into the postseason, Tim Cato. Would a healthy Mavericks team be a threat in the West this year?
I think we got to set up this hypothetical just a touch more because I know Dallas would be wrecking the Orlando Magic right now, but that isn't quite the scenario. So we're saying that Dallas was healthy the entire year and got up to like the 4th or 5th seed, or are we saying that Dallas, Kyrie didn't get hurt, but Anthony Davis had all his injuries, and they're probably like the 6th or 7th seed? They're facing the Houston Rockets. I think like a matchup against a team like the Rockets is something that it's just, if you have a defense that can smother bad offenses, whether it's the Rockets, I think it's fair to say Memphis, even despite how badly Dallas lost in the play-in tournament. If you said, I don't know, I don't like them against the Clippers, even with Kyrie. I think we saw in those 2 games how much 3 shot creators is just really tricky for their perimeter, their point of attack defense to hold up against. I would have some concerns against the Lakers for the same reason that, you can have the best interior defense, but if you have shot creators, like we saw a team like as bad as the Brooklyn Nets, they knew they couldn't score, but they kept getting dribble drives. And if you've got a team that can consistently drive, pass, get into the lane, You know, it really has to be a team that's kind of muted in their perimeter offense and their perimeter ability. And then I think Dallas's defense really, really shines, really shows. And if you have Kyrie, then he just carries and changes a lot of what this offense is capable, you know, is possible, what is possible for them. But there's, you know, as I look down the list of potential, you know, teams that they could have faced, maybe the Timberwolves, maybe the Rockets, and all the other series, all the other opponents, potential first-round opponents, I have more questions about how they would be doing in a potential first round against them if fully healthy.
I think that they would be doing all right. I mean, it obviously depends on the matchups and everything, but you know, with Kyrie on the floor this year and with Luka off, the Mavs still had a 117.4 offensive rating, which is really good. And that's playing a ton of minutes, obviously, with Kyrie on the floor without Luka and also without AD. It's not like it was Anthony Davis played 1,000 minutes with him or something. And a lot of those minutes were also played without any big men to speak of.
But that also helps in some ways.
Sure,
you know,
yeah. But,
you know,
I mean, in the playoffs, you're playing without big men sometimes, you know, depending on who you're going up against. And so I think that this offense with Kyrie and AD and everybody being completely healthy, which is hard to even imagine, you know, what would a healthy Dereck Lively look like? I don't know. We haven't seen him in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they would have the offensive capability to score quite a bit. You know, final last night in Wolves-Lakers was, what, 94-85? Like,
That's
the Mavs
right.
could definitely score 85 on anybody right now. And that's without Kyrie. You know, I think the question is defensively, would they be able to make it work? And that does depend on a lot of things. One, how many shooters does the other team have? You know, if you're going up against a team like Houston, you have some targets to leave open. Denver, you can even leave open guys, you know, Russ, and you leave open Aaron Gordon. And against the Clippers, you can leave open Derrick Jones. And that's how the Mavs choose to defend.
Chris Dunn.
Yeah, they will just let a guy shoot open threes all series long, and if he makes them, they're losing. If he misses them, they're winning. That's the way the Jason Kidd defenses like to scheme in the playoffs. And so I think that they would have the capability to defeat any team 2 through 8. I don't think that a healthy version of this Mavs team is beating OKC. But, you know, who is beating OKC? Maybe Cleveland or Boston, but otherwise, I mean, I don't know. But I think that they'd be able to potentially beat anybody.
To me, it's just so hard to project because, again, we saw Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis play one game together.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 25 minutes of court
Championship
time
caliber defense, Mark Stein.
That's right.
for 2.5 quarters.
That's right.
25-ish minutes
They won the title.
that we saw them on the floor together. And what is alarming is that as time went on for the rest of the regular season, Dereck Lively misses Luka Doncic. We could use the rest of this hour to describe the depths to which Dereck Lively misses Luka Doncic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that PJ Washington has been the same player without Luka Doncic either. So Kyrie and AD, these are elite Hall of Fame players. They are going to figure it out and build a chemistry. I'm not worried about them at all, but I don't know that an on-the-fly trade, as great as the Houston game was, fantastic until AD got hurt. I mean, the building was rocking. You know, we've talked about it a zillion times. The way AD played, especially in the first half, we have never seen a Mavericks big man check every single box on a basketball court like AD did in that first half against the Rockets. But it is the smallest of sample sizes. The only thing that I would like about this hypothetical is, outside of Oklahoma City, the West is it's a jumble right now. I mean, you almost throw the seedings out. Anybody can beat anybody on that basis. Could the Mavericks have been a playoff factor, the proverbial team nobody wants to see?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess. But like, it is so hypothetical. And as we did come to see, their 3-point rate went way down post Luka, and they just don't have enough. Even if Kyrie was out there, would they have enough shot creation to mitigate mitigate what they've lost?
Edgar in the chat said, in the playoffs with coaches game planning around first option Kyrie, you probably get a lot of make or miss 80 jump shooting games. And that is potentially the alternative because the Mavs don't have many other guys that can handle. I mean, it's Najee, but that's
what we haven't liked.
Yeah.
In the early stages of the AD era, what have we talked about? he takes too many Dirk Nowitzki shots, and he is not Dirk Nowitzki in the mid-range.
Yeah.
And like you said, if coaches are going to force that, and they would, how would he fare?
Are they doing? Is he doing that because he's hurt though?
And that would be my question: is he compensating for the injury right now because of?
That's a huge hypothetical question of this hypothetical that we have to kind of figure out. Is it AD who is fully ready to go? But you said, Stein, that PJ has been hurt by Luka's absence, and absolutely everybody has had some level of effect of the best shot creator, one of the best shot creators in the NBA, the best 3-point shot creator in the NBA, being gone from this team. But I think PJ really has been most hurt by Anthony Davis's inclusion. And just the way that playing two centers has really gummed up the court and taken away of a lot of what PJ is good at. It's also, I said it. I think Houston is a team that Dallas can match up with, and this is why I've been so offended.
Kyrie would just be.
That would be really rough. But defensively, they can execute exactly what they want defensively, and Anthony Davis is best equipped. And again, was he just the most healthy in that Rockets game? Is that why he pretty much at his best offensive game in a Dallas uniform? I guess outside of the 40 point to end the season, but he was awesome offensively that game. But he makes sense offensively against a team that plays a non-shooting center and but doesn't it's not someone who is as physical or more physical than him. It's somebody that he can overpower. And then on the other side, I think defensively Dallas's scheme looks really good against a team like the Rockets. And so when Nico keeps referencing we looked really good for 2.5 quarters, you saw a championship level team. I agree that you are always going to look really good against the Houston Rockets because the Houston Rockets have the type of offense that your defense can look the best in the NBA against.
Like the Wolves against the Nuggets last year.
Exactly that. Like sometimes there are matchups that make sense. That's why I've been so offended. That's why I was so glad that he didn't bring up that Rockets game. I don't think he brought it up at all in the press conference on Monday, but he brought it up multiple times last week in that closed door media appearance, event. And no, that's not how it works. You can believe this is a championship team, and we can believe that we don't think that this team would beat Oklahoma City, but the Rockets specifically just made so much sense for this defense to be able to be good, to execute what they want to do. And that's why it falls short for me to say that game alone proved anything. That game proved that you have a good matchup against a team that is one of 8 teams that you potentially could have played in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs.
KG, that's what makes it so tough because they don't know what they're supposed to respond to and what they're supposed to add. They're just theory crafting,
Yeah, and I think part of that Rockets game, you have to remember too, Jabari Smith was not available in that game either.
Theory crafting, that feels like a Pokemon term that I don't know.
How did you guess that? It's your theory.
Is it?
Your theory crafting. It's like in games with RNG, you're like, okay,
Tanner, point for the old man. Put it on the scoreboard.
If that very small 10% chance of an event didn't happen, then would I have won this game, or how would the game have changed? And it's like all you're doing is just playing out, or like in chess, if I didn't blunder the knight, would I have won? Like you're just playing out all these hypothetical scenarios,
these different scenarios,
but it doesn't matter because it's not in reality, So all you're doing is just theory crafting, but you can get lost in that rabbit hole very easily.
And I think like the Lakers still may lose to Minnesota. The Lakers may lose to Minnesota, where I believe the Lakers could have beat a lot of teams in the Western Conference. So if they lose in the first round, the narratives that are going to spring out of that are going to be decided and dictated by how that series goes. Even though if the Lakers were playing. I think for sure if they were playing the Rockets, they'd be fine. If they were playing the Warriors, I think they'd be
with Gobert going up against a team that plays small.
Right. Yeah. It's just this is a scenario. This is a situation where narratives are going to be formed all throughout the first round based off specific matchups because we do believe that 2-7 in the NBA, 2-7 in the Western Conference, all these teams have a lot of parity. They're pretty close to each other. So ultimately, the teams that lose and the teams that win so easily could have been flipped around just based off a different first-round matchup.
Yeah, I think my question would have been point of attack defense because I'm looking at the teams that are in the West right now. I'm looking at who in the world is guarding SGA. Don't know. Who's guarding – you could take your pick with the Lakers, obviously. Who's guarding Luka Doncic? Who is guarding Stephen Curry? Like, there are matchup
oh, my God.
Who's guarding – like, there are matchup nightmares where your point of attack defense – like, you can say what you want about the back end, which we know was going to be pretty much fortified, but who in the world is going to stop that guy from getting to that back end first? I don't know, and to your point about PJ Washington, I don't know who defensively is going to find a way to credibly stop a lot of these guys. And I think that would have been a huge problem for this team, given what they couldn't even stop John Morant on a bum ankle in the playing game.
Well, they could have stopped anybody on Memphis.
That's what I'm saying. They allowed 60 points in the paint against the Memphis Grizzlies. Like, there was a lot of issues that the team was dealing with that would have been made interesting to find out what they could have done.
It looks better if the offense is better, and then the offense would be better if Kyrie's healthy. On and on and on. Like, you can keep going down this rabbit hole for years.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I ultimately agree with you. That's my biggest issue with the team as well.
Let's take our first break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back, we're going to talk about something, and I forgot that much quickly. How are the Mavericks now viewed as a franchise in the eyes of current NBA players? We'll discuss that more coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs podcast. But we've got some big and little news to share with you. All City, including us here at DLLS Sports, is teaming up with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America for an exciting 3-year partnership. This isn't just about sports, it's about community. Together, we're combining with Big Brothers, Big Sisters, incredible youth mentoring programs with the passion and power of All City's local sports coverage to create something truly meaningful. The partnership kicks off this week during our NFL draft coverage, but it doesn't stop there. We'll be working year-round to support Big Brothers and Big Sisters through fundraising, content, events, and even opportunities for our team and maybe for some of you as well. And you can get directly involved with us here at DLLS Sports. We're excited to support youth organization and mentorship that really makes a difference. You can learn more and see how to get involved at bbbs.com/allcity. Again, that's bbbs.org/allcity today.
Just like your favorite team needs a home court advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day of their lives. We've all been to the big box stores, and you can wander endless aisles. You can get lost for ages. You know, it can feel like every aisle just turns into an aisle that just looks kind of the same, and you're like, where's the exit again? And then ultimately, when you finally find the floors, you're somehow hauling that all home yourself. You're looking for an installer. Empire Today lives and breathes flooring, and they will be there with you every step of the way. That's the difference. It's a whole different ball game. So schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. DLLS listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code DLLS. Yes, you heard that right. A $350 discount with code DLLS. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/DLLS for full details.
How are the Mavericks viewed now as a franchise in the eyes of current NBA players in the wake of the Luka Doncic trade? Several individuals around the NBA weighing in with their thoughts on the Luka Doncic trade, which we will get into right here on the DLLS Mavs podcast, Bobby, as the controversial trade that sent shockwaves throughout the rest of the league has had reverberations through not just the postseason, but also players' feelings about not just his team, but also the trade in and of itself.
Yeah, so the article in The Athletic is called NBA Players Sound Off on Lakers Mavericks Luka Doncic Trade, quote, blasphemy.
And it's a spin out of the anonymous player survey that The Athletic has done for, I think, 4 or 5 straight years running. So this is just one of the questions that they asked, and they spun out a whole article on it because, yes, the Luka trade was pretty much the biggest news in the NBA this season.
And this is put together by Sam Amick and Josh Robbins.
But really the entire Athletic staff.
So you used to do it.
I did. Yes.
Answers range from disbelief to players who are on the Lakers thinking that it's a good idea. But I'll just read a selection of players' responses, and then there's a couple pretty sinister ones that I want to get into at the end. So how about this one? I'll just breeze through a few real quickly. Quote, shocked. I was on the court. A fan told me at half court. It's one of those moments you won't forget, like when Michael Jackson died or 9/11 happened. Those moments you just know is going to be forever ingrained. Another one, I thought it was just the NBA doing it for viewership. So players, they're just like us. Another one, quote, when I'm not with my team, I'm a Mavericks fan. I didn't know how to process it because it just happened so fast. I was taken aback. It just lets you know that nobody is untouchable in this league.
It's nice they got Giannis for the I'm kidding.
A lot of people suspected that was Cade Cunningham that answered that question, actually. And then another one, quote, terrible. Wow. Like, what did they do? I thought the Mavs were going to come out of the West again 2 months ago. That was terrible, man. I don't care how you slice it. To not get back what they should have gotten back is ridiculous. it messed the league up.
Messed the league up.
Those
That
are
really
like
stood
some of
out
the
to
most
me.
tasteful ones. All right. Now there's there's some that skew a little more aggressive, and I'll read those right now. Quote, psychotic. Didn't make sense. I don't know how you make it make sense. Psychotic was the another one. Blasphemy. Another one. The worst ever. Another one. It's one of the worst basketball decisions I've ever seen. And then I think this one is probably from either LeBron or Austin Reeves. Quote, I think it's phenomenal decision. So smart. Wise. I'm a Nico Harrison fan. or maybe that was sarcastic. I'm not sure. Either way, it was awesome. But there's two that are really, really damning, and I want to hear y'all's reaction to these two. First one, the quote begins with talking about how, everyone says his defense is bad or whatever, but you can find guys to hide that weakness. And this is where it gets pretty dark. Quote, I feel like they could have went into the summer and had a grown man conversation. So you make Luka the one who ultimately makes the decision for the front office. If he don't want to play defense, all right. And they've been keeping him accountable. Just being around him, I feel like he'll take feedback. But I feel like they should have went into the summer and then talked that out. That's crazy.
This one really stood out to me because a lot of the reporting has been that Nico was struggling to have like direct conversations with Luka. I think that's an accurate summary. Correct me if you feel I'm wrong, Mark Stein. But this was something that, not only was there a disconnect between player and general manager, but it was a disconnect that just continued. They just kept going. It kept growing. And there wasn't a lot of direct one-on-one human communication to try to solve it, to try to fix it. And I thought the point of getting to the summer and being like, this is what our philosophy is. Nico Harrison has been talking a lot about, he's tried to reframe his initial comments of culture. He's tried to reframe them as philosophy. So if you get to the summer and you say, this is our philosophy, this is how I want to win a championship. And there was some quotes in here that there's some players who kind of feel, both approaches are right. It's just like a difference of opinion about how you go about, building a team. That, I don't know, it just resonated with me. And it resonated because this is a player's perspective. This is what a player in the same situation, he would at least want the chance for the GM to come and say, we're changing our philosophy from what it used to be.
Yeah, talk to me face-to-face about this.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I don't think there was a lot of face-to-face conversations about the issues that ultimately got Luka traded.
How could that be?
I mean, this to me, it's great to hear a player say it because, we've been doing this for so long now, almost 3 months, that I can't, I feel like I've said everything 27 times or 77 times, but this is one of the foremost failings of this whole thing for me. And I did it, last night, just watching that first half as he's carving the Wolves up and the no look to Dodo. And it's just like, whatever you don't like about this player, he is so good. You run out every ground ball to try to fix it. Everyone. Can the Mavericks look in the mirror and say, we tried everything to get Luka to do it our way, and then we traded him? And they cannot say that. They can't come close to saying that. They gave up way too soon. And all these players, they see it too.
A random player who's not on the team.
He is so damn good that you have to try and try and try to find this middle ground that you think is necessary. To underline again, the Mavericks felt like it was necessary, and they cannot do forever. They will never be able to say, we tried everything to make this work.
And that's the part I can't square, because if you're going to be positioned as relationship guy, the number one aspect of working with a superstar is to cultivate a relationship that allows you to have a working one for years and years to come. And it doesn't feel like the necessary correct conversations were either broached or even tried to be approached by either Harrison. And look, Luka has some fault in this as well. It takes two to tango and two to dance. If there was a lack of communication from Nico's camp, or if there was a lack of communication from Luka's camp, both sides have got to figure out a way. How do we come together to figure this out? Because if you can, then you can both move forward to get on the same page, whether it be on a basketball side, a business side, but both parties have to be willing to do that. I feel like it's more so on the management here, because you got more to lose than the player does. So if you feel like you have a chance to do that, that is on Nico Harrison and the leadership of this team to do. And I don't feel like we will ever know if that was truly the case that he approached it.
He's a some relationships guy, not a relationship with Luka, not a relationship with Casey Smith, with Scott Tomlin, with Casey Spangler, with Jeremy Holstoppel, not a relationship with Dirk Nowitzki, other players who have gone out the door. Certainly a lot of relationships clearly have not been productive. We're not able to be mended. Just look at how much information there is out there about the team. There is a lot of hurt people who have been ousted from the franchise, who are frustrated with the franchise. He can build relationships with some people. That is absolutely 100% true. He has a very good relationship with Anthony Davis, with Kyrie Irving, with a lot of players on the team, with a lot of people around the league. It is not it's not that he can build relationships with every single person. That is not his strength. His strength is specific type of relationships that he has tried to bring to and change Dallas into representing those relationships that he is best at cultivating.
Well, and that's a problem.
Yeah, that means you don't need to have this job.
Yeah, I mean, well, this last quote is why it's such a problem, because your job as the general manager is to trust, create an environment in which players will trust that you have their and your team's best interest in mind for many years to come as they prepare to sign a multi-year contract with your organization. And that's where this last quote is the most damning, I think. And I'm going to paraphrase some cuss words, all right, because this is a family-friendly program. Quote, I think that stuff was idiotic, but I don't think it was a bad trade. I just think the way they did it and everything about it was idiotic. I think them shopping the franchise face of their organization, for a lot of players who already feel that this is a business, like, those mighty fine gentlemen don't care about you. I think it sets an example like, all right, why should I give a F word about this team if this is how they're going to treat me? I came in here and I was All-NBA like 5 times in 6 seasons, an MVP candidate, and don't even get told about none of this. I'm like, this organization doesn't give an F about me. Why would I give an F about any organization?
And that's the one for me that stood out, because you're in not only a relationship business, you're in the business of trying to find the best talent in order to help you win games and to win so consistently for long periods of time. And if these are players who are saying this in terms of how they perceive the organization to be, it's going to be very difficult for Nico Harrison to walk into a player's living room and credibly discuss the idea of that player joining this team, because he watched that player get traded in the middle of the night without warning after all the success and, most importantly, taking the team to the NBA Finals. If that player could get moved with no warning, why in the world would I trust you to have my best interest at heart to put me in a position to win if you were willing to treat that dude that way? I'm not coming to play here, and nor would any of my friends or previous teammates, whoever the case may be, would want to credibly decide that this would be a place where I would want to play. That, to me, is a damning statement, because if he's going to be a relationship guy and building a team as a general manager, that's not a good start, buddy. That's not a good start at all. Players are having that kind of conversation.
I don't think a lot of people are on Jimmy Butler's side when he forced his way out of Miami, and certainly that got messy in a lot of ways, maybe ways that we don't quite understand or know yet. But if you're Jimmy Butler and you're looking at this, how do you have any regrets over their situation?
Yeah, you're lighting a big cigar.
He does, but he's like, Miami isn't Dallas, and Pat Riley isn't Nico Harrison, but if that can happen to Nico, if that can happen to Luka Doncic, why should Jimmy Butler not just go force his way out in the messiest way possible? Because even every measurement of on-court success wasn't enough to keep Luka here. He just took the team to the NBA Finals. He got first team All-NBA, 5 straight seasons. 1 Rookie of the Year before that. All of that wasn't enough. There is no amount of performance at his job, it seems, up to, I guess, winning championships every year. You know how hard that is? That possibly, he could have more to have kept himself here. Obviously, philosophy, difference of opinions. He's got his own flaws. But if you're NBA stars looking around the league, this doesn't do anything. It doesn't, whatever you feel about player empowerment and all the discourse that's gone on about that and rings culture, on and on and on and on. This only accelerates it. This only justifies everything that players have done to get out of situations, because Nico Harrison's can do things like this to Luka Doncic's.
It's almost a way that a front office is trying to strike back and say, hey, no, actually, we're the ones that hold the power here. Because to that very idea of player empowerment.
But they always have. That's never changed. Sorry.
In some ways, it kind of has. I mean, Hell, look at LeBron James and how he torpedoed and changed the entire trajectory of the league when he decided to join Miami in the manner in which he did it. I mean, players have decided to take a lot of their careers in their hands. I mean, hell, James Harden changing teams every other year and has no bones about doing it. I mean, calling Daryl Morey a liar on the record, not once but twice. I mean,
well, he might have been. So,
well, I mean, the point is these players will have no compunction about doing what's best for them. And if you're watching this player get traded in the manner that he did, if I'm a player, yeah, I'm going to do exactly what's best for me because clearly I'm going to get ahead of the organization, stabbing me in the back. I'm going to be the one to do what I need to do to get to the best situation for me to win, no matter how it may look Miami when it comes to Jimmy Butler, just as an example from that. But that's tremendous stuff there. NBA players going on record discussing their ideas about the Luka Doncic
That was
trade.
just a sampling.
That was just a little bit.
There's dozens and dozens and dozens of quotes in there that are each of them are very interesting.
No matter what, the Luka Doncic trade will continue to have reverberations around the league for years to come, and obviously players making their voices known. Let's take our next break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back, we dial up the Stein line, where apparently Jerry Jones' wife was distraught about Luka Doncic being traded. Mark Stein will provide us some perspective.
Not Gene.
when it comes to that. All that and more coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
Barbecue and country music. What the heck is more Texas than that? I can think there's a cowboy hat right over there. If I could reach it, I'd go ahead and put it on. The Lone Star Smokeout is coming to AT&T Stadium May 2nd through the 4th. And stay tuned because I think we might be doing some giveaways for some VIP tickets. But you can try barbecue from 14 teams. There we go. Oh, this is on backwards. There we go. Giddy up, folks. 14 teams across Texas are competing, and you can decide for yourself who's really the champ. That's right. You can taste test barbecue from 14 different places. Oh, my God. That is like heaven on earth. Think of all the burn-ins. Think of all the brisket. Think of all the pulled pork. Holy moly. Country's biggest stars like Cody Jinks, John Party, and Midland will all be performing, including local performances from guys like the Eli Young Band, Randy Rogers Band. DJ Pauly D will be there too. Kids 10 and under get in free general admission. Tickets start at just $68, so don't miss out. Get yours at LoneStarSmokeout.com.
And you can go once you save some money with your property taxes by utilizing OwnWell. We know that owning property can be difficult. I own a home myself, and I got that letter in the mail letting me know how much property tax I got to pay. But OwnWell is going to help me take care of that because they believe when it comes to paying property tax, you should only pay what's fair. OwnWell handles everything from start to finish and delivers top results with no upfront costs as well. So you only pay if you save. 86% of OwnWell's customers receive a reduction with an average customer savings of over $1,100. You can use some of that to go to the Lone Star Smokeout and get you some barbecue. Put property tax money back in your pocket in just minutes with OwnWell by doing it in less than 3 minutes. The deadline to protest is May 15th for most counties. Save money on your property taxes with OwnWell. Sign up in less than 3 minutes and start your protest today at ownwell.com/DLLS. That's OWNWELL.com/DLLS today. It's time to dial up the Stein line here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Why Jerry Jones' wife was distraught over the Luka Doncic trade, and we haven't heard from Jason Kidd in a formal exit interview. We'll dive into some of those topics here on the Stein line. You can always dial up the Stein line on X at the Stein line with our guy Mark Stein in studio. We see your super chats. We're going to get to some of those a little bit later on in the show. We sincerely appreciate your contributions here on DLLS Sports. Mark Stein as Jerry Jones, who is getting ready for the NFL draft. All of your draft coverage right here at DLLS Sports with the DLLS Cowboys podcast.
That's right.
With our guy Jeff Kavanaugh, Clarence Hill, Joe Hoyt, and Jesse Holly. They will have you covered starting tomorrow with April's NFL's annual selection meeting. We'll be all over here at DLLS Sports. Clarence Hill was at the Star in Frisco yesterday as the Cowboys had their pre-draft presser. And
Look at Clarence Hill helping out the DLLS Mavs show.
Yeah, Clarence went there just to talk football. Apparently, he had a little bit of basketball on his mind in relation. Of course, Micah Parsons, a superstar for the Dallas Cowboys. Another superstar isn't necessarily here anymore. And Clarence wanted to ask Jerry, hey, Jerry, what are your thoughts on Luka Doncic being traded?
Clarence Hill, DLS Cowboys. Picking up here our nightmares and trading great players. How have you taken in the Luka trade and how that's transpired the last few weeks?
Well, I'm a fan of the Mavericks, big fan of the Mavericks, and consequently a big fan of Luka. The world knows that I've got my hands full thinking about what we think about over here, much less trying to figure out. I look at the Mavericks through a very much entertainment eye. And I know Luka was a personal friend and watched a lot of games with us, and would hope that he would be able to watch some more games with us as we go along, know his family pretty well and his support staff pretty well. So all of that is just one as a fan. Now, Jane was All-State, scored 17 straight free throws in the state championship game. And Gene lives and dies with that basketball. And just cried when Luka left. But I understand that, and I understand, frankly, you say, how could that happen? I've got a little bit probably better understanding how something like that can happen.
So, Jerry Jones going on record discussing the Luka Doncic trade Mark Stein, and apparently his wife none too thrilled that Luka Doncic is no longer in a Mavericks uniform.
Well, look, as I've told you guys many times, I'm the last person in this building who should be talking about the Cowboys draft and what the Cowboys should do. So I got nothing to bring you there, but I've been curious to hear some Jerry reaction to this trade, and he said more than I was expecting. Shout out to Clarence Hill for bringing that up at a Cowboys draft press conference. The reason that Jerry Jones describes Luka Doncic as a personal friend and notes that Luka Doncic is a Cowboys fan who's attended Cowboys games, and why his wife was so distraught. The reason that Luka bond with the Cowboys is there is largely because of Laura Beth Seeger, who is Luka's chief brand officer and his business manager. And she has worked very closely with the Joneses and the Cowboys for years and years and years. And that's where that relationship all comes from. And the reason I'm bringing it up, this will be maybe a touch self-serving, but I want to point you guys back to my 2-part series on Luka right before his return to Dallas to play the Lakers. And a big topic I talked about in there was Laura Beth Seeger she did all of Dirk's special projects and basically ran all of Dirk's off-court events for the last 5-ish years of Dirk's career. First, she was working with Mike Modano. Then she worked very closely with Dirk. She's the one who did the whole 41-21-1 jersey retirement ceremony. She was point guard for the Dirk statue. I mean, she had basically Mark Cuban deputized her. Will you please run the statue and make the statue happen for the Dallas Mavericks? When Mark Cuban was in charge, she was essentially embedded as part of the Mavericks organization. And then when Mark Cuban sold the team, the number one conduit to Laura Beth Seeger was no longer, Mark Cuban was gradually pushed out of his day-to-day role. Laura Beth Seeger, along with Bill Duffy, Luka's agent, they are the two most influential members of Luka's team. And so the word Tim McMahon used in his piece was friction, the disconnect, whatever word you want to use, that started when Mark Cuban no longer had a day-to-day role, and this very important member of Luka's team no longer had the connection to the Mavericks that she previously had. So just to hear Jerry talk about those things yesterday, to me, again, Jerry can talk about Cowboys draft issues, and I'm not going to have any reaction because I don't know what the hell any of it means. But that was just not, a gratuitous mention. I mean, there really was a strong connection there. But I also I wish, again, people are there to talk about the draft and what the Cowboys are going to do this week in the draft. I would have loved to hear Jerry continue with that last point, because he has been at the heart of large and polarizing trades, and just to kind of hear more of that perspective. Maybe we will get it someday, but I found all that pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think the context in which Clarence brings that up is obviously Micah Parsons is in the middle of potential contract negotiations with this team, and there's been conversations on whether or not the team should move on from Micah Parsons, who would be another superstar moving out of the DFW sports landscape, which would be a PR nightmare for Jerry and the Dallas Cowboys if they moved on from him. So kind of getting some perspective on how the Cowboys may approach some of that. I think it's a very interesting lens to kind of dive through.
Thank you for the context that I could have never provided.
Oh, no,
I do not know the context.
Yeah, no. That's kind of, Mavericks had a superstar. Cowboys got one right now that they're trying to figure out how to get done, which honestly is not that hard, but this is not a Cowboy show. We are down at the sideline here on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
Real quick, though, 17 straight free throws in a state title game. Ref, swallow the whistles. What are you doing? It's the state title game. How many times is she at the line? Good God.
Yeah.
I don't think Luka's ever done that.
He definitely has not.
Yeah.
17 straight free throws is kind of wild. With this team, we've heard from Nico Harrison in terms of his formal exit interview. Several players have had their formal exit interviews. One individual who has not had one and may not have one is the head coach of this team. One of the more infamous moments of the season is Jason Kidd skipping out on an entire press conference after a game in one of the games this season, which is one of the more seminal moments I think we'll come to remember from this year. Will Jason Kidd formally speak to the media as far as an exit interview is concerned, to provide his thoughts on how this incredible season that the Mavericks have?
I wouldn't anticipate it, and the reason is, and I think Tim will back me up on this, he actually doesn't typically do an end-of-season press conference, and the reason, as I've always understood it, is teams always have exit interviews with their players, but from what I understand, I don't think Jason Kidd likes to be the one involved in those exit meetings with players, because you never know what's going to happen roster-wise in the offseason with players. And so I think it's, I don't want to sit here and speak for him because I'm not him and he should speak for himself. But again, my understanding of it is that since he's been in Dallas, I don't think he's done an end of season press conference like Nico has done at the end of every season. Like, I don't believe he did. I think Nico did it solo last year. I don't think Jason did one last year.
I believe so, yeah.
Because again, as I understand it, his take is, I don't have those meetings with the players individually right after the season, so I'm not going to do it with the media. And then the other thing is, I think a coach can rightfully say this, coaches are the ones who do all the talking in today's NBA. I mean, on a game day, coaches talk at shoot around, they talk pregame, they talk postgame, and that's to the general assembled media. They also do individual breakdowns with Chuck Cooperstein gets Jason Kidd before every game for the Mavs radio broadcast. So my presumption there is that he feels like he speaks plenty, but like I said, I think if we really study it since he's been in Mavs land, I don't think Jason Kidd has done that end of season address. I don't remember one.
Yeah.
Okay. Love to hear.
And also, it's Wednesday, almost a week after the NBA season ended. If it were to happen, it would have happened by now.
Sure.
Because theoretically, now we weren't in Memphis. We were all doing a live show. I wasn't in that press conference. I don't remember everything in that press conference, but that is a natural opportunity for guys right after the season is over. You can reflect on the season questions in that setting.
Right.
Would it be great to get another, would the media want another opportunity to do it? Of course you would. I mean,
Sure.
We're not, we might not get a Mavs availability of any kind now till draft night. So of course, if you're on our side of the fence, you want more press conferences.
Well, when they win the lottery
less.
on May 12th, we'll be hearing plenty.
Yeah. But yeah, no, the time for Jason Kidd to talk would have been, I don't think it would have made sense for him to go up with Nico Harrison on Monday. He could have spoken on Saturday when most of the other players did their exit interviews. But even in that exit interview, Anthony Davis, Klay Thompson, and Kyrie Irving, none of them appeared on Saturday. So yeah, the time has passed, and it's not. I don't view it as some egregious thing that he did not end up doing a exit interview as the head coach, even if certainly I would have loved for it to happen.
Speaking of the draft, real quick, Rutgers star freshman Ace Bailey has officially declared for the 2025 NBA
What,
draft.
1.8% chance at the number 1 pick? 1.8 as opposed to 1.7?
Love those odds, Mark. 8.5% at the top 4. That's a 1 in 12 chance to change your life. Or to get really mad if they get
I
fourth and
cannot
traded.
wait for your reaction if the Mavs get a top 4 pick.
Well,
I've sat next to you when
it's
they
never
got
happened. So
I've sat next to you when they got Omax. So I have an inkling, but Bobby with a top 4 pick, we might need a Bobby cam that night on our show.
despite what it may seem, all you haters in the comment section, I really, really want this team to succeed. Like, really badly. I would love nothing more than for this team to be really good.
Ace Bailey goes 6.
We really need to, like, every day from now on, we need to do, like, in the 4th segment, we should, like, maybe not today because we're not ready for it. We need to make it a tradition that we do one Tankathon spin every show until the
I like that.
until the draft. And let's keep track of. We got to keep track, like how
many times we got the number 1 pick?
Yeah, we'll figure out what our cumulative. We can even start it today. Like,
we only have
one spin every show, and we're gonna keep track until the lottery.
we only have like 12 or 15 shows or something before lottery night. So on average, they will move up 1 time during this.
Okay, but let's save it for the 4th
Well,
segment. Let's do it.
You can get us started.
Yeah, we got to keep track.
I mean, I'll pull it up.
Let's take our last break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back, apparently we'll take a spin around Tankathon and have you. That's right. And have you processed there being no Mavericks playoff basketball?
Super Kev hates when I call audibles.
It's
and
cool,
mess
man.
up the rundown.
It's cool, man.
He does not like it.
I'm a football guy too. Plus, Luka went off last night against the Minnesota Timberwolves. We'll discuss all that and more coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
But first, have you become a diehard today? If not, what the heck are you waiting for? We are running our best deal we've ever run right now in honor of the NFL draft, which is coming up in just 24 hours.
Just over
It's
24
already
hours,
here.
man.
Oh my God.
Yeah, man.
So we're running it through the end of this weekend. You can become a diehard for just 36 buckaroos. That is just $3 a month over the course of an entire year. When you sign up, you get a free shirt of your choosing. We got about 40 shirt designs to choose from. They are all fantastic, and one of them can be yours. If you like multiple, you can get a discount on anything else you want and a discount on live events. You also get to join the DLS Diehard Discord right when you sign up. You go to your little profile on alldls.com. There's a link to join. If you're a big Discord person, there is not a better Discord server in the world than ours. That's a bold claim, but it's true. Also, you get to read all the paywalled content on alldls.com. I'm looking at the top headlines on our site right now, and I see a bunch of stuff I want to read. What 60 mock drafts tell us about what will happen in the NFL draft? That's from Fran Duffy. Jeff Wilson with the latest on Corey Seager's injury situation, and he might be heading to the injured list. That sucks. Clarence Hill with the latest on Micah Parsons' contract negotiations and why the heck have the Cowboys not talked to his agent yet if you're trying to sign a guy to a contract extension. There's plenty of reasons to sign up and plenty of things to read on the site. Sam Nessler talked to Stars owner Tom Gallardi. What the heck? And then also Mark Stein. You get your physical diehard card.
That's right.
You get your physical diehard card.
Made out of what?
Made out of titanium, safe lead for human consumption, obsidian from the explosion of Krakatoa in 586 or whatever that was, and also gold harvested from meteors that have landed on Earth within the last 30 years. Folks, you want one of these. So many reasons to become a diehard and so many reasons to continue supporting what we're doing here at DLS Sports, and thank you to each and every one of you who have.
Y'all remember Jimmer Fredette?
Yes, of course.
He retired today.
But there's other breaking news in basketball, which I know you already know. Paige Beckers just tried on her first Stetson.
That's right.
She is a Dallas wing. She is a Texan.
Let's go.
Paige, save us. Save us, Paige.
Give us good basketball.
Yeah, Paige Beckers is formally being introduced today as a member of the Dallas Wings, the #1 overall pick.
First preseason game next week.
That's right. That's right.
Let's go.
Wings basketball. It is upon us. It is upon us. Let's get to a few of your super chats here before we dive into your feelings about the NBA postseason so far. Victor Lugo with the $4.99 super chat. Could Patrick Dumont pressure Nico Harrison to go after Kevin Durant to help ticket sales? Could Rick advocate for KD's impact on that?
I'm going to stick with what I've been saying. My instinct, my latest intel, all the rumblings that I've heard to this point, underline to this point, because this league, as we know, is ultra fluid. But I do not foresee the Mavericks making a run at Kevin Durant. The way it has been explained to me, again, to this point, barring some change of philosophy that, I guess you have to leave open the possibility that happens. But to this point, the way it's been told to me is the Mavericks are not looking to do a 3-star construction because you'd have to give up so much to trade for Kevin Durant. Your depth then goes, and now you are built around 3 all-time greats, but now 3 guys in their 30s with injury histories. Is that really the route you want to go? So, ticket sales, I don't think that is going to be the consideration. And like I said, just since March, when the sun started unraveling and the KD trade talk started in earnest, I think the Mavericks' interest has been overstated.
And Victor, I know you did say in the super chat, just go after KD, but obviously the entire point of potentially going after him is that there's a chance that he would sign here. He's an incredibly online guy. He has had a weird career. I could very easily see the scenario where he just wants a calmer situation, hopefully, than what he is very aware of what Dallas is right now.
And if you go to my Substack, you can read about the Kevin Durant trade that has already happened, which I wrote about last night.
John,
Sorry,
no, you're good.
It's a good teaser. I read it.
That's good. John P. MFFL with a $4.99 super chat. This might be the most interesting one we've ever gotten. How would you feel about your jobs at DLLS and the Mavs org if GM Ben and Nico Harrison swapped roles?
I think the Mavs might be in trouble, but I would definitely just go work. I would go back and work for the Mavs.
You got that side-eye pick queued up?
I don't think we could drink beers on post-game shows anymore.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
That's actually a deal breaker. I'm out. For that reason,
You can't
I'm out.
ask me that question after GM Ben and I just had the nicest conversation we've ever had.
And
Can't ask me that
honestly,
question.
I'm probably safe for reasons. We'll let you think about those reasons. Adam Swish with the $9.99 super chat. I was fishing with my son in the canals of Valley Ranch when we heard a loud shriek. My son, in a panic,
Killing me.
fell in the water. Nico, the culprit, claimed it was really more of a chuckle than a shriek.
Adam, this is your best work yet.
Oh my God, the saga continues.
It wasn't really a laugh.
It was more of a chuckle.
It was more of a chuckle.
The idea that my man was
Thanks
like,
for
actually, let me
clarifying that.
clarify.
Yeah.
He wasn't laughing at me. It was just a mere chuckle.
Yeah.
And look, like,
Get the hell outta here,
course,
man.
I'm sure it was, but what a funny thing to get into. It's
I
not
take
a good
issue with
sign.
that characterization.
Like,
It's not a good sign when you have to go back and reframe a fundamental part of a trade that happened and be like, okay, well, maybe this word would work a little bit better.
This actually leads to another show idea I had. Might as well just workshop these things out loud.
I mean,
You know how Bill Simmons will always do, like, let's do a draft. I thought, should we put like 10 quotes on the board from that press conference and like, let's have a draft of like,
Ooh, our favorite ones?
yeah,
Ooh.
favorite slash most
Well, I
make
egregious.
sure you
suggested-
write these ideas
I
down.
suggested
okay?
an
Make sure you
article
write
idea
these
to Tim the
down.
other day, Nico Harrison quote or Taylor Swift lyric. So we'll
Write
see.
these down.
Yeah.
Write these down. We're gonna need these.
I got my idea. My head is full of ideas.
It wasn't really a laugh. It was a chuckle.
It was a chuckle.
Could you imagine Patrick Dumont going home that night and say, "Hey, babe, guess what Nico asked me today? What, babe? He thought I should trade Luka Doncic. What do you think?" Like, could you just imagine how that conversation went at home like that
Do you
night?
think Patrick
She was like,
Dumont
"Did you laugh?" And he's like,
Right.
"No, I chuckled."
I chuckled.
Do you
That's
think, do you think Patrick
Jesus.
Dumont secretly sneaks in a DLS episode or two
I
every
hope
week?
so, dude. If you're watching, comment. Let us
I know for a fact.
Come on the show.
I do know for a fact that folks watch this show.
Good.
Who? Yes, I know for a fact.
I hope they're taking our truth bombs to heart. Nothing but the best takes on this
Theory
show.
crafting.
Right,
Yeah.
that's right. Caesar with the $5 super chat. Great job, fellas. This show helps me recover from losing the love for my favorite team in sport. Nico ruined my Mavs and basketball for a lot of us.
That sucks to hear, man. But thank you for, Thank you for spending time with us still.
I'm glad we can provide that to you, even if the circumstances of it being needed are
Not
very
ideal.
unfortunate
That's
for,
right.
And there are a
you
lot of
and
people-
many people like you.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that have said that they feel that way. It's like, but people still want to be part of the community. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
You know? Not just our community. There are people that watch Locked On that do that, or that watch, your favorite show kills off a character that you loved and you still want to watch the show, but it's like, well, what do I do? Like, it just sucks that it sucks when this happens.
And that is our goal. That is the idea. That we're trying to build a community that isn't just Mavs. So it's always so touching when people express that they actually have felt that way.
It's all bigger than
They do
basketball,
feel
man.
that way about us.
Victor Lugo with back-to-back $4.99 super chats. Really appreciate you. We'll start with your first one. If you're Nico's guy, he'll trade picks and a generational star to get you. And there's a lot of those guys that are good, which might be the reason he's still here.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. We've found. I mean, PJ is kind of is Nico's guy, and PJ is a little younger. But a lot of these guys that Nico's guys with are older.
That's right.
And so what happens when this upcoming crop of players, this next generation of players, only know Nico as a GM. They don't know Nico as a Nike recruiting guy. And so once he loses, it's kind of like whenever coaches start getting a little older and they're like, has he aged out? Has the game passed him by? Like, what happens when the relationship guy no longer has relationships with the players? Then what's next?
Yeah, because that's a great point. A lot of the players he's got these quote-unquote relationships with are older players.
Yeah.
Damian Lillard, like other players. It's just kind of crazy. Lugo back in with the $4.99 super chat. Nico said Luka held the team hostage. Nico is the one holding the team hostage, trading future players, picks, and his 4 guys that will leave if he's fired.
No twos. No second-round picks for the next 7. The next time they pick in the second round, they'll be playing in a new arena. How about that?
Jeez.
What year is it?
The Mavs have traded all of their second-round picks that they can possibly trade. They do not have a second-round pick. They have Phillies in 2030, but they don't have their own.
They don't have their own.
And they have this year's pick and 26. They can't trade 26's pick. The next pick and the next first-round pick they have is 2031. So they control 0% of their draft from 27 to 2030. A great position to be in whenever your team is very old.
Didn't have to be that way.
Can I cleanse the palate with a little Tankathon spinarooski?
Oh, you completed your first spin around the.
Let me do it right now.
All right,
here we go.
Live. Yeah, here we go.
Thanks to our friends at shout out to our friends at Tankathon. I'm hitting the sim lottery button. No whammies, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies. The Mavs stayed at 11th. All right, let me do it again.
No,
No,
only
you
one.
can't do
You
that.
can't do that. There's
Go
only
back.
one.
No.
Okay, this is the
Well,
new
they
one.
also did not.
Okay, well this
Okay.
is our official
one a day.
That's it.
One a day.
Screenshot it.
Oh,
just so we have
John
record of
ran his, and he said one spin, Mavs number
Send
one.
John. Where's the lottery at? Chicago. Send John to wherever the lottery location
Yeah,
is.
but for our
He's already used up his
for our
luck. It's too
purposes,
late.
Yeah,
we're
I'm
sorry,
11.
John.
We're keeping track.
All right.
We're
Oh.
keeping
This
a
is
le-
our official
we're
one.
keeping a
Screenshot
ledger.
it,
We're
send
keeping
it to
a ledger.
Tanner, We'll tally
We're
it
keeping
up.
a ledger.
We'll be tallying it up.
All right. For those curious, Portland won this one. They moved up 9 spots. Portland, of course, finished 1 spot ahead of the Mavs in the lottery order. So I'm sure that would make people happy.
Utah fell
Also,
one.
Phoenix jumped up from 9 to 3. Of course, Phoenix owes their pick to Houston.
Damn.
And so this would mean the Rockets get the number 3 pick. So how about the Blazers,
God, they need that
who are
so
about
badly.
to pass
Oh
you
my.
up, and the Rockets, who you're trying to catch, will have 2 top 3 picks.
Oh, jeez. Awesome.
The Rockets who you owe a pick swap to down the road.
That's right.
Yeah, they
So
also
just-
control part of your draft. That's
yeah, so
sick.
just making it even more sure that those pick swaps that you owe to OKC and Houston, yes, you're technically going to have a first-round pick that year. It's unlikely to be a good one.
That's right. Bobby, you want to read that $4.99 super chat we got?
Mikey. From Mikey Hookins. When are we chomping on a Goncito, Bobby? But for real, are we getting the Tim McMahon article reaction show? First off, I miss Goncito so much. We do have a freezer here, so we need to load that thing up with those delicious snacks. Good to see you again, my friend. When are we getting the Tim McMahon article reaction show? We did touch on some of that training staff drama yesterday. Of course, Mark Stein and Tim Cato have also reported about it. So we talked quite a bit about that stuff yesterday, and obviously, assuming any changes are made, which I think some might be, we will be reacting to that because it's going to be a long summer. But first, Goncitos.
Last super chat before we get out of here on our show today. Ozzy D with the $4.99 super chat. That Tankathon spin just made me fall to my knees at an Empire Today flooring store.
But it
No
probably
flooring store.
felt,
They come to your house.
yeah, they come
But
to your
otherwise,
home,
yes.
and it probably felt very comfortable. And I hope that it looks great in your decor.
That'll do it for us here on the DLLS Mavs
What's against
podcast.
Nico?
We'll be back tomorrow
It's
at 12
like a
p.m. right here on
Twinkie,
DLLS
but it's
Sports
and
as
it's
the
full of,
NBA playoffs
like
continue to roll
raspberry
on. We got some
jelly.
special stuff coming
So good.
from our guy Tim Cato on tomorrow's show as well. So make
It's
sure you
so
stay
good.
tuned for that at 12 p.m. We appreciate our guy Tanner making us look good and sound good as always. Thank you,
It's
sir.
like, have you ever had like
That's
a
our
a
national
zinger?
NBA insider,
Yeah,
Mark
it's like a
Stein.
zinger,
That
but
is
with
our Mavericks analyst,
fruit
Bobby
jelly on the
Corella.
inside.
That is our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. I'm your host, Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 12 p.m. right here on DLLS Sports. Y'all be good. We'll talk to
See you tomorrow, y'all.
Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.